World-renowned performer, World War II spy, and activist are a few of the titles used to describe Josephine Baker, one of the most successful African American performers in French history. Baker's career illustrates the ways entertainers can use their platforms to change the world. On June 3, 1906, Frida Josephine McDonald was born in St. Louis, Missouri. Her parents, both entertainers, performed throughout the segregated Midwest, often bringing her on stage during their shows. Unfortunately, their careers never took off, forcing the young Baker to look for odd jobs to survive. If she was unable to find work, she would often dance on the streets, collecting money from onlookers. Eventually, her routine caught the attention of an African American theater troupe. At the age of 15, Baker ran off and began to perform with the group. She also married during this time, taking her husband's last name and dropping her first name, becoming Josephine Baker. In 1923, Baker landed a role in the musical Shuffle Along as a member of the chorus, and the comic touch that she brought to the part made her popular with audiences. Looking to parlay these early successes, Baker moved to New York City and was soon performing in Chocolate Dandies and along with Ethel Waters in the floor show of the Plantation Club, where again she quickly became a crowd favorite. In 1925, at the peak of France's obsession with American jazz and all things exotic, Baker traveled to Paris to perform. She made an immediate impression on French audiences when, with the dance partner Joe Alex, she performed the Danse Sauvage, in which she wore only a feather skirt. However, it was the following year, at the Folies Bergère Music Hall, one of the most popular of the era, that Baker's career would reach a major turning point. In a performance called La Folie du Jour, Baker danced wearing little more than a skirt made of 16 bananas. The show was wildly popular with Parisian audiences, and Baker was soon among the most popular and highest paid performers in Europe, having the admiration of cultural figures like Pablo Picasso, Ernest Hemingway, and E. E. Cummings, and earning herself nicknames like Black Venus and Black Pearl. She also received more than 1,000 marriage proposals. Capitalizing on this success, Baker sang professionally for the first time in 1930 and several years later landed film roles. The money she earned from her performances soon allowed her to purchase an estate in an area southwest of France. She soon paid to move her family there from St. Louis. Baker was multi-talented, known for her dancing and singing. She even played in several successful major motion pictures released in Europe. When Adolf Hitler and the German army invaded France during World War II, Baker joined the fight against the Nazi regime. She aided French military officials by passing on secrets she heard while performing in front of the enemy. She transported the confidential information by writing with invisible ink on music sheets. After many years of performing in Paris, Baker returned to the United States. Following the war, Baker spent most of her time with her family. In 1947, she married French orchestra leader Joe Bouillon, and beginning in 1950, began to adopt babies from around the world. She adopted 12 children in all, creating what she referred to as her rainbow tribe and her experiment in brotherhood. She often invited people to the estate to see these children, to demonstrate that people of different races could in fact live together harmoniously. Her return home forced Baker to confront segregation and discrimination that she had not experienced since she was a child in St. Louis. She often refused to perform to segregated audiences, which usually forced club owners to integrate for her shows. During the 1950s, Baker frequently returned to the United States to lend her support to the civil rights movement, participating in demonstrations and boycotting segregated clubs and concert venues. In 1963, Baker participated alongside Martin Luther King Jr. in the March on Washington and was among the many notable speakers that day. Her opposition against segregation and discrimination was recognized by the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. In 1963, she was one of the few women allowed to speak at the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. Her speech detailed her life as a black woman in the United States and abroad. She stated, "You know, friends, that I do not lie to you when I tell you I have walked into the palaces of kings and queens and into the houses of presidents and much more, but I could not walk into a hotel in America and get a cup of coffee, and that made me mad." In honor of her efforts, the NAACP eventually named May 20th Josephine Baker Day. Josephine continued to travel the United States, and during her visits, she developed a close friendship with American artist Robert Brady. Now divorced from her fourth husband, Joe Bouillon, she was looking for companionship on a platonic level. Brady felt the same, and on a trip to Acapulco, Mexico in September 1973, they went to an empty church and exchanged marriage vows. Though no clergy was present, and they were never legally joined, it was an important personal bond that she and Brady maintained for the rest of her life. Josephine told very few people about the pseudo marriage, fearing the press would ridicule it. After decades of rejection by her countrymen and a lifetime spent dealing with racism, in 1973, Baker performed at Carnegie Hall in New York and was greeted with a standing ovation. She was so moved by her reception that she wept openly before her audience. The show was a huge success and marked Baker's comeback to the stage. In April 1975, Baker performed at the Bobino Theatre in Paris, in the first of a series of performances celebrating the 50th anniversary of her Paris debut. Days later, on April 12, 1975, Baker died in her sleep of a cerebral hemorrhage. She was 68 years old. On the day of her funeral, more than 20,000 people lined the streets of Paris to witness the procession, and the French government honored her with a 21-gun salute, making Baker the first American woman in history to receive French military honors. Thank you for watching the creative Sims of this powerful woman. Did you learn something you didn't know when the video first started? I hope so. Thanks for watching, and please share the video so others can learn about this woman and the others in the playlist. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever time you're watching this. Be safe out there. Bye for now.